Okay, so this one is about the final trip I went on. So yeah, I had enough left for like one more big dose, and 2 days after my first trip, yeah, it just felt right to take it. And again, that's the biggest thing I've got from it. Like, don't ever force anything. Like when things feel right, take action. When they don't take action. And the phrase I really like, actually, and I'm just fucking on my soapbox already, is sometimes the best course of action to take is no action. And I don't know who said that. It's probably some like Stoic philosopher. But yeah, sometimes the best course of action is no action. And that's what I really like. I really like that sort of way of thinking, that sometimes it's best just to do nothing until it feels right. And so, and obviously everyone knows that anyway, don't they? Yeah, so 2 days later, it's like, yeah, feels right to take it. And so as much earlier in the evening, it was still light outside, and there was where my mum lives in the like Staffordshire countryside. I'm very lucky to live here. Basically, she's got like an acre paddock, and you can look down on it and see like the sunset, and it's beautiful. Like you can see like there's a place called the Wrekin, and it's like you can see the sunset over it, and it's beautiful. So I sat there sipping my tea with it in, and everything just looked fucking beautiful, man. Like my cat came up and sat on my lap, and I was stroking it, sipping my tea. Like there's a tree that kind of like is in the foreground of this image, and then the sunset is in the background, so that was all silhouetted, but I could still see like it was almost silhouette, but it was green. And then there's like an outhouse we've got, and then like a pigeon came out of nowhere and landed on there, and there must be some water in the gutter, and it started drinking the water out of the gutter, just like gently pecking down into the water. It just looked like, and then there's some ants on the floor by me, and like, yeah, just like moving around, just honestly the most perfect scene as I was coming up. Just everything just felt like lovely. Okay, I got in, so I maybe sat outside for like an hour just sipping it. I came back in, and with this one, from my research, what I knew is that, which I didn't do on my first trip, what I knew is that you need to plan your trip. Like, you need to plan it like you're going on you're literally going on a hike. You know, get the map out, like what you want to do. So what I knew I needed to figure out on this one was that stuff about feminine energy and potentially my sexuality. Like, it was a question mark at this point in time. And so what I did was I set an intention for this trip, and the first one I wrote was like, the intention, I put these on post-it notes that I'll put on the screen. The intention is love. And I was like, how can I trust, believe, how can I trust / believe / forgive / accept / love myself? So I didn't know what was going to come out of this. I could be my identity was being questioned as a I guess a heterosexual man. Like, it was, so I needed to be open to anything. And then a heel, and I drew this little weird fucking picture. I put that on a post-it. Oh, God, this camera could be better. And then there's a phrase I really like. I don't know why I did the star. There's a phrase I really like that goes, "How can I let go and let God?" So it's kind of, how can you just let go and trust that everything will happen, and everything happens for a reason. And I put that on a post-it note. And so I had these 3 post-it notes, and then I did myself a little schedule as well. Like, so I was like, this camera. I was like, hour 1, contemplate; hour 2, journal; hour 3, meditate; hour 4, draw; and hour 5, vibe. So like I was like, yes, got all this sorted. So I was like, this felt much more structured and much more like I was not necessarily in control, because I didn't want to be in control, but at least there was some like structure to it. And then, you know, if shit went off, I knew I had these intentions. I knew, you know, the intention is always love. Whatever comes up, whatever bits of my brain I get into, it's always love. So I started to so after like an hour or so of contemplating and just literally just like, you know, vibing, just like making my room look all nice and stuff, and just enjoying the come up really. I started journaling, and the first thing that came up when I was journaling was my dad. So I started writing about my dad, and the thing that came up was like, I guess the real strong feeling was like my dad paid me like no attention growing up. So my dad had problems with alcohol. He had mental health problems himself. Like, I didn't realise this at the time, but looking back, it's clear that he had mental health problems. Sorry. So I he never gave me the attention that I wanted from him, and so that came up really strongly. And don't get me wrong, there were times, and I wrote about this on the anniversary of his death last year, when he was like a fucking A-star dad. Like he showed up, but generally, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, my mum was like a single parent. She did everything for us. He never came to my football matches. Throughout being a teenager, I was like on a hockey team. Didn't once come and watch me. Never went to parents' evening. Never like gave me any fatherly advice. Like, you cannot remember. One time maybe that he gave me some fatherly advice. Never really spoke to me. He shouted a lot. Got angry a lot. But generally got drunk a lot. But generally, like, was not what I would call like a traditional father figure. He did his best though, he did his best, and I've forgiven him and processed that, so I don't hold any grudges or anything. He was the man he was. But I'd never thought of that actually, so that came up quite strongly. I never thought, God, no, Dad didn't pay me attention, did he? And I've never like questioned that. And then so wanting my dad's attention and never getting it, I was like, And then I remember this, my dad had 3 brothers, and we weren't close to them, but they'd come and visit every now and then occasionally. And then this memory of being like 6 or 7 and my dad's youngest brother coming to visit us one summer evening. Out of the blue, just rocked up, and it was really nice to see him, and he played football with me in the garden, and I fucking loved it, man. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, the little 6, 7, 8-year-old me, I can't remember how old I was, having the time of his life playing football. And my dad's youngest brother then was probably like late 20s, early 30s, maybe even like younger than that. But this cool dude playing football with me. I remember he had some Adidas like shell toes on. Fucking cool, good dude, man. And then I remember for weeks after that, like every like weekend, I think he came around on a Saturday evening. Every like weekend, every Saturday, like wishing he'd come. I was like, man, we called him Uncle John then. His name's not John. Like, is Uncle John coming around this weekend? I'm like, nah. So I remember really wanting him to come and like play football with me again and spend time with me, but he didn't. He just didn't. And then all these sort of like memories of male figures in my life, like kind of like abandoning me, came up. And so I remember like a form tutor I had when I was in year 7, so like 11 or 12, called Mr. McAvoy. Like, and he took a real shine to me. Like, I remember like he was really nice and kind to me, and he was sort of in his like early 30s or something when he was our form tutor in year 7, and he's such a nice dude. And even now I think of Mr. McAvoy and I'm like, oh man, he was really nice. But then in year 8 he left teaching, so he's supposed to have the same form tutor for every year of high school, but he left when we went into year 8. He left teaching. I think he went into his family business or something, and so he left me. And then this memory of another teacher I was really close to, Mr. Davis, and the football team, like him being close, but then I got sick in school, so I couldn't be on the football team, and so I'd struck up this really nice relationship with him, and he'd been really kind to me, and then suddenly I wasn't on the football team anymore, and he was the football coach. Me and my brother were really, really close, like all our life until I was like 12 or 13. And then for whatever reason, he got a new friendship group. I went this way, he went that way. And then we kind of went our different ways. So I just started having all these kind of like, and then he left me, and then he left me. And I didn't realise I felt like this. Like, I didn't realise I had this thing with males. And then I sort of had this thing around that I've always had. And I've kind of suppressed it whenever it's come up, when I've been conscious and sort of, going back the last 10, 15 years of my life. I always had this thing around men, sometimes where I felt uneasy, or I felt like I need to impress them, or I felt like not good enough. You know, this sense of like, not, it's never like preventing them from doing things, but it's been a thought I've had, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to look at that. I guess because it might be that I'm gay. Like it might have turned out that I'm gay. So I never wanted to like delve into that. And again, like I don't have any problem with homosexuality as a thing. Like I don't want this to turn into that. This is about sort of how I interpreted things in my subconscious that I've not even been fucking aware of. On this trip, these things came up. Like, wow, fuck, like, yeah. And throughout it, I was like, if the outcome is that I'm gay, that's okay. But carried on, I was like, there's more here on this. So just stay focused and keep pulling. Because the thing is, when you're on shrooms as well, well not shrooms, when you're on psychedelics as well, like the music would change, and then suddenly you'd get swept up in the music, and you're off on a way, like vibing like hard. But then I was like, no, focus. Try to stick to the schedule. So I was like, come on, come back, keep pulling the thread. And I was like, okay, so you've got an issue with men. You felt that imbalance between your masculine and feminine energy. Issue with men. Keep pulling on this thread. This will help. So then I was like, yeah, I want this validation. I want this like this need to impress men. This need to like, feel accepted by them or whatever it is. It's come up before. When I've been in my sort of conscious life over the past sort of 10, 15 years. What is it? And it's like, and then as I was journaling, and I'm journaling this whole time, I'm like, bro, all this like. So it's like a conversation between two parts of my psyche. It's like, bro, all this like validation and acceptance and need to impress men that you want, and all this like, this thing you feel like you're lacking. It was like, why don't you just give it yourself? And then the second I had that realization, it was like, like, why don't I just give it myself? Like, I'm obviously looking for something external from males. Why don't I just give it myself? Like, why don't I just accept myself for who I am? Like we all are, a divine being that's like part of the universe that's lacking absolutely nothing. Like none of us are lacking anything. Like we all have everything we need inside us. And it was almost like, yeah, just give it yourself, bro. Like, love, validate, all that good stuff. Just do it yourself. This thing you've been holding on to with your dad and what he didn't give you, just give it yourself, man. Just give it yourself. Love yourself. Validate yourself. Like, it's okay. You can do that. It's like, can I? I should, shouldn't I? That's what I should do. And so that felt like a real breakthrough. But I was still like, there's more here. There's more here. And I kept pulling, and I was like, pulling. And then this sort of more like reasonable part of my psyche, this more like sensible part of me was like, the problem you've had all these years is you've been looking over here. You've been looking over here at everything your dad didn't give you. The attention you wanted from your dad, the love you wanted from your dad. Everything your dad didn't give you. Comparing your dad to, like, I remember I used to compare my dad to like my mates' dads when I was growing up and be so jealous of my friends' dads. And it's like, yeah, you've always been over here looking at what you lack. Always. But that's just like part of the picture, mate. If you like go this way over here, this is everything that your mom did give you. All the love and the support and being there and never letting you down, and even like just always trying her hardest, no matter what shit she had to deal with, always trying her hardest, always being a pillar of strength in your life. That's all over here, mate, and you've been looking over here. And I was like, fuck. And it just went on, and it was like, so I know on these trips you're looking for something like deep and like mystical and meaningful and you really want something. But I'm here to tell you the only thing you need to do is hug your mum more. Like, it's not that deep, bro. It's not that deep. Just love your mum more and hug her more. And I even wrote in. I mean, I could find the journal, but I even wrote to myself like it was almost like, I'm gonna write that again. So when you read it tomorrow, you actually like this. This is the point of the trip. Hug your mum more. And he literally wrote it like go back and read that last sentence. Go back like to just literally reinforce to myself tomorrow, the next day, the point. Like, that was it. Change your focus. Love yourself. Hug your mum more. Like, that was it. That was it. And it was like, fuck, man. That's like, it's just beautiful. And so, like, I guess two other things to just, I guess, like, loose ends to tie up. Firstly, like, my sexuality. So, I guess what I felt like is I'm 95 to 99% sure I'm not gay. Like, I love having sex with women. I've loved being in all the heterosexual relationships I've been in. I've never been in a homosexual relationship. I've never had homosexual sex. But what I can say is that I feel like I'm heterosexual. But on the other hand, in the right dimension, with the right man, with the right charisma, you know, sexuality is a spectrum at the end of the day. And we're all on there at some point on there. Where I feel like I'm at is 95 to 99% on the heterosexual end of it. And I feel and now I feel very comfortable with that. Like, I wouldn't have even been, like, literally I would not have even been able to have a conversation this comfortably about my sexuality before, I don't think. Now I feel very comfortable with where I am. Like, it's weird, like even admitting there was even a question mark, like, it's embarrassing for me to say this in 2022, but even admitting there was a question mark before, like, hurt my ego. I don't know why. It did, though. Like, I can't explain it. So yeah, but that feels like it's bottomed out now. Like, it feels like that's it. Like, I'm comfortable where I am. And then the bit about hugging my mum. The next day, like, I knew, oh man, I need to hug my mum. Like, and I'm not a very touchy-feely person. I was like, I need to hug my mum. I need to hug my mum. And so, it didn't feel right, though. Like, it didn't feel right. So again, you know, let it go, let it sit. So that's what I did. And I woke up the next day, it didn't feel right. Then the next day, 2 days later, I woke up and I felt like, today's the day. I woke up early. I went down to a coffee shop. I bought 2 coffees. Bought some flowers for my mum, some chocolates for my mum. Got back and she was sitting at the kitchen table having a breakfast. And I said, Mum, can I... Firstly, I gave her the flowers and the chocolate. And I said, thank you, and the coffee. And I said, thank you for everything you've done while I've been in hospital, over the past year, while I've been sick. You know, thank you so much for all that. Can I tell you about some experiences I've had recently? So I told my mum about the trips, about, like, taking the psychedelics, literally everything that's in these videos. I sat down with my mum and I told her, and she sat there and she listened and she smiled and she laughed and she couldn't really believe it. And at one point, especially on my second trip, she was like, which I took much earlier in the evening, she said something that really made me laugh. She said, so while I'm sitting down watching Emmerdale, which is a soap, you're upstairs doing that? And I was like, yeah. And it was really beautiful, actually. She just really listened to the shit, even the difficult stuff about Dad, about the resentment that I had inside me for her at some point. Like, it wasn't an easy, it was an uncomfortable conversation at times, but it was loving. It was beautiful. Like, it really, really was. So I told her all that. And then what I remember, and I just need to find this on my phone, I should have got it up before I started the video. What I remember is I read about something called a gratitude letter. And basically what it is you write a letter to someone who you've kind of not necessarily I mean, it doesn't need to be a negative connotation about it. It's not something you've necessarily like taken them for granted. You can write a gratitude letter to anyone. Yeah, so you write them a gratitude letter to thank them for everything they've done for you in their lives. So, and I knew I wanted to write one to my mum at some point, but again, it never felt right, and I didn't want to just be like, "Hi, Mum, can I read you that?" Like, but yeah, I didn't want to force it basically. So what I did, and the idea of the gratitude letter is it's handwritten. You read it to them, and then you give it to them to keep. And so, sat down with my mum. Spent like an hour or so telling her about my trips and the crazy shit that I've been going through, and just a really loving, beautiful, challenging at times conversation, but loving. Then I said, "Mum, I've written you this, and before I went to get the copies, I wrote her this letter. Can I give it you?" And I'm going to read it out now, and I've checked my mum, and she's okay with me reading it. And I read it to her, and it starts. Hello, Mum. I'm not sure how to start this. I've never done anything like this before, so I'll just jump in. I wanted to say thank you and how grateful I am for everything you've done for me in my life. Over the last 2 years, I've done a lot of soul searching and figuring things out, and one of the things I've realised is that I've taken you for granted. Mum, you've always been there for me, no matter what. Thank you for that. I had a memory pop into my head earlier of getting an injection or something in that outbuilding at New Cross, which is a hospital, when I was very little. I think it was New Cross. It was the one with the train in it. I remember being so scared of getting the injection, just clinging to you and feeling safe. You were my safety. I remember moving to Bricklin with you. So Bricklin was a primary school I moved to when I was in like year 4, and it's one my mum taught at. And I had a lovely time there. I remember moving to Bricklin with you, and I don't really remember feeling strongly about it at the time. I certainly wasn't, or don't remember feeling sad about leaving Warstone, so that was my old primary school. And I ended up having some of the happiest times there and making the loveliest memories. I felt so loved and settled and confident there. The teachers I had, the friends I made, it felt like such a lovely community and the perfect place for a child to grow up. I've never thanked you for creating that experience for me. Over the last 2 years, I've gone back and confronted some quite difficult memories and emotions from the past, but my time at Bricklin sticks out like a beacon of such happy times. Then I went to Highfields, which is the secondary school I went to. Then I went to Highfields, and I don't know what happened. I got ill, and things got hard. I didn't know how to tell you what was going on. I wish I had, and I wish I'd been able to. I feel sorry, and at times in my life angry that we lost that lovely connection we had when I was at Bricklin. But I'm realising all these years later that that's my choice. It's been my choice to hold on to that feeling of not being as close to you as I'd like to be. Because whatever stuff I tell myself, you've always been there for me, and Nina and Kieran, my brother and sister. And if I struggle to read, it's because my handwriting is absolutely fucking terrible. It continues. You sheltered us from Dad as best you could. You single-handedly raised us while working and dealing with Dad's nonsense. You helped me go on school trips, helped me through uni, paid for me to go back to the States for an internship and for my first flat deposit in London. And now you've let me come back and are supporting me to get better. Mum, you've done and do so much for me, and I'm so very grateful. I'm sure there's so much stuff I've not said, and there's more I could say and thank you for, but I'm not sure this notepad would have enough pages. There is something I want to acknowledge though, and that's how proud I am of you. I'm not sure if proud is the right word, but when I look at the job Nina and Kieran, my brother and sister, are doing with Dom, Lena and Alfie, nieces and nephews, and the people they are becoming, I feel such a lovely feeling of loveliness. Great phrase of words there. And a big reason Nina and Kieran have been able to raise Dom, Lena and Alfie. Oh God, my writing is terrible. And a big reason Nina and Kieran have been able to raise Domlina and Alfie the way they do is because of how you raised us. You raised us in an environment that was hard at times because of Dad, but you didn't give up. You sacrificed and you kept going. You helped us and supported us. And now, all these years later, we have a lovely family with 3 beautiful kids who are loved more than they'll ever know. Thanks for not giving up, Mum. Thanks for being strong, even when I'm sure you didn't always feel strong. Thank you for being there for me. I love you, Jay. So I read that to my mum and I gave her the letter. And then we just spoke for like 2 hours about all sorts of stuff. Like Dad and Mum's struggles when I was that age, when I felt abandoned, like all stuff. And it was like, and I'm feeling like choking up a bit now, it was honestly the most like loving conversation I've ever had, and like 20 years of emotion just fucking evaporated from me. And then I gave my mum a hug. It was lovely. It really was. Yeah, it was nice, man. Yeah. Don't know where to go from there. I'll finish it with just 2 other things that happened. So so when you're on psychedelics, you have all these it's kind of like you're dreaming, but it's also at times it's kind of like you're flicking through channels on the TV. So you could go from like, I don't know, like the news is on one channel, and then there's like a crocodile eating a gazelle on the next channel. So it's but both are crystal clear pictures. And so when this was kind of happening, I was just kind of cycling through. Like you're not in control of like there's another person who's doing the channel hopping. And so one of the things that came up was it was like I was no, sorry, I'll do the other one first. Sorry, it was almost like the mushrooms. Oh no, fuck it, was mushrooms. They were talking to me, and what they kind of said to me or communicated to me, it wasn't like they actually spoke it to me. I felt it. It was kind of like, this experience you're having now, it's not escapism. Like don't. This is a serious experience you're having with right now. Do not fuck around with them. Do not use them for escapism. Like, you only have this experience when you want to experience reality more. Don't ever take it when you want to avoid reality. And it was like this really powerful, strong voice that said that to me, and I was like, oh fuck, yes, like it was crystal clear. This is not having a few pints with your mates down the pub. This is like meaningful shit. Don't fuck about with it. And so like that came like through loud and clear, and I have no desire right now to go on another trip. Like I have no like burning desire to go on another one. Like, you know, like, yeah, it's weird, like, because it was amazing, and yet I don't want to do it again. Like, I do want to do it again at some point in the future, but no time soon. Then the other one, which is linked to doing mushrooms again, was I went into like the eyes of some dude on the savannah in I don't know, in Africa, and like I was in the cave and you could see the savannah out in the distance through the cave opening. Then the rest, I was watching, and I was also watching the rest of the tribe like build a fire. And this was like an ancestor from like 10,000 years ago, and it's beautiful. Like, I was just like, look at all these guys working together. It's beautiful. It's just like almost like how like civilization has progressed by humanity working together. And this was the start. This was like the very start. Like fire had been created, and been created not by just one person, but like it was a team effort. And I was watching it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, and then I like jumped forward, and then I had the perspective of walking down this like 17th century street in like, was it Tudor times? No, but like the impression I got was like William Shakespeare with the fluffy collar walking down the street. And he didn't really do much. He was just walking down the street, and then it like flipped to me now in the present, and the feeling and the sense I got was that like, listen, like you are only here today where you are because of like your ancestors, like 10,000 plus years of ancestors or whatever behind you. You're standing on their shoulders at the precipice of like the future, and like it was almost like, imagine if like one of those links in that chain, I don't know, got eaten by a gazelle on the savannah, or got like cholera in the 17th century, or whatever, or I don't know, anything, and died. Link chain broken. You're not here. You are so lucky and fortunate to be here. And like imagine day to day all the struggles when I'm feeling a bit down or a bit depressed or a bit like life's hard. Imagine that times 10,000 years of ancestors, how they felt, and all of them just kept going, just found some meaning in life and kept going, and now I'm here today. And it was like, if you stand here on the shoulders and the precipice looking out on the back of 10,000 years of ancestors behind you, and you're at the front of that right now, and there's 10,000 years of ancestors ahead of you, it was like, what are you going to do over the next 30 years to make that meaning, to make your existence here meaningful? And I was like, oh, I don't fucking know, man. That's way too much for me. Like, and I was like, next trip is that's the intention on the post-it note. It feels like I'm done with the past. I can let that go now. The stuff I was holding on to, and no judgment of myself, there was a reason I was holding on to it, you know? Like, I wasn't ready to let it go for whatever reason, and now I feel like the past is done with. It's like, what is the future, man? And I don't feel like any rush. I don't feel like any pressure. I feel like my body will heal when it's ready to. You know, like everything will happen in sequence as it's supposed to. I might need a bit of help though to figure that out. And I'm still going to be doing all the good shit I'm doing. Like the journaling, the meditating, still getting therapy. Might reduce the therapy down to maybe once a month. But like, yeah. It feels like I can look forward now. And it feels beautiful, man. It really does. And I'm not saying psychedelics are the silver bullet. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but they really fucking help me.